In the last video, you have learnt about male reproductive system and female reproductive system. Now today we will discuss about the fertilization and pregnancy in humans. So the sperms that are male gamete, when discharged, they travel upward to the vagina and uterus and reach the fallopian tube. On the other hand, when the egg is released, which is a female gamete, it also moves in the fallopian tube. So in fallopian tube, one of the sperm fuses with egg or ova to form a new cell. So in the fallopian tube, fertilization occurs or takes place in the fallopian tube, where egg or ova and sperm fuses together to form a new cell that is known as zygote. So now this zygote travels down and attached to the walls of the uterus. So this zygote develops into embryo. Now the embryo, which looks like a baby, called the fetus. So the embryo that looks like baby, that structure of embryo is known as fetus. The special structure which is formed by the finger-like processes called villi. So this special structure is known as placenta. So this placenta is linked to the embryo by umbilical cord. So this placenta provides nutrients, oxygen from the blood vessels of uterus to the developing baby. So the placenta is the nourishing boundary between the mothers and the embryo systems. The umbilical cord extends from the placenta to the embryo and it transports food to the embryo, and it also transports waste materials from the baby's body into the mother's blood. Now the embryo is enclosed in a sac or surrounded in a sac-like structure. So that structure is called amnion, and amnion is filled with fluid. That fluid is known as amniotic fluid. So this fluid acts as a shock absorber and helps to protect the embryo from any kind of damage. Now the next topic is pregnancy. What is pregnancy? The period of 9 months in which baby grows inside the uterus. So that period of 9 months of growing of baby inside the uterus is called pregnancy. Now at the end of the pregnancy, the amnion, which is the membrane of the amniotic sac, bursts and the baby is pushed out through the vagina by the contractions of the uterus. Students, you might have heard about twins. So can you tell me how these twins are produced? So twins are produced either by fertilizing two separate eggs or ovum by two separate sperms, or they are also produced by dividing a single fertilized ovum. So when a single fertilized egg splits or divides into two, the zygote formed by the splitting of single fertilized egg develops into identical twins. Means that babies are identical to each other. Whereas when two separate eggs or ova are fertilized by two separate sperm, so these type of babies are known as fraternal twins. So these babies can be either the same sex or of different sex, and they are not identical to each other. So these are known as fraternal twins that are non-identical, and identical twins are identical in appearance or same in appearance to each other. The next topic is menstrual cycle. Let us see some terms that are used in menstrual cycle. The ovaries releases a mature egg into the fallopian tube every month. So the process of release of mature egg from one of the ovary every month is known as ovulation. So at the time of ovulation, the uterine wall get thickens. Uterine wall, that is the 3 layers of uterus, means the layer of uterus or wall of the uterus, that is known as uterine wall. So the uterine wall get thickens at the time of ovulation to receive and nourish the embryo. So the uterine wall receives an increased supply of blood to nourish the embryo. Now, if the ovum is not fertilized, with any sperm, it is thrown out through the vagina with the uterine line and blood. So this process of thrown out the unfertilized ovum with the lining of the uterus and blood is known as menstruation. It is called menstruation, and the whole process of ovulation and the thickening of the uterine lining and menstruation, the whole process forms a menstrual cycle. And this menstrual cycle is a cycle of 28 days. Now at the age of 45 to 50, this menstruation stops, and this stage is known as menopause. So in women around the age of 45 to 50, menstruation stops and it is known as menopause.